how to deactivate your triggers, how to go from replaying old wounds, old programming, old pain and trauma to actually writing your new story. How to go from exhausting yourself to actually freeing up energy for what matters to you, to taking self-led action. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to have power over the present moment instead of letting triggers to have power over your future or your past. In order to deactivate your triggers, you need to activate what I call the inner witness. And the inner witness has 3 elements to it, which we're going to discuss in a bit. Especially right now, if you're going through a big life transition like a career change, a relocation, breaking up, or entering marriage. This is for you because when we're going through a big life change, those triggers tend to be activated in order to help us to level up, to get to the new version of ourselves, to the new version of our lives. This is not regressing, but rather growth. This is the most important skill you can develop right now because triggers are inevitable when we are going through a big life change. Before we get into the video, I want you to understand this. There's nothing wrong with you. Triggers are not a sign that something is wrong with you. They are rather a sign that you are leveling up. They are a sign of growth, of maturing into the next version of yourself, of actually entering this new chapter of your life. So if you're new here, hi, my name is Chrisana. I'm basically a psychological life coach. If you've been here before, hi, welcome back. And yeah, let's get into the video. Probably if you're watching this video, you're going through a big life transition. And I want to acknowledge that this is a really uncomfortable phase of life to be in. I myself have been through so many life transitions, undergoing one right now. And I know how much willpower it takes to have the courage to enter one. So I applaud you for being in that and taking the time to watch this video. So being triggered and being consumed by it, those are 2 different things. In this video, we're not talking about not being triggered at all. It's about learning what to activate inside yourself in order to deactivate those triggers. And the difference between those 2 is what I call the inner witness. This is about activating the inner witness. And the moment you activate the inner witness, you're deactivating your triggers. So let's get into it. How to activate the inner witness. In order to activate the inner witness, you need to know what the inner witness consists of. So those are the 3 elements of the inner witness. First one is letting go. And letting go is not about giving up. Letting go is about surrendering to what is and being okay with it. And instead of gripping for control, we are allowing ourselves to let go of what we thought we needed to be, to let go of control, to let go of whatever isn't meant to be right now. Again, this is not about giving up. I cannot stress that enough. And therefore, it is not about not having goals in life and not wanting to achieve certain things. It's about letting things be as they are instead of trying to find the best solutions at all times. It's about noticing when your mind does that grasping for control and instead choosing to be with it instead of allowing your mind to take the driver's seat of your life. It's about not forcing situations and surrendering or letting go. What if I told you you already know how to do that naturally every day without even consciously choosing that? And it's about falling asleep. When you fall asleep, you naturally let go. You're not trying to fall asleep, right? Unless you have sleep issues. And this is saying a lot about not being able to let go of control, but that's a whole another conversation, right? So when you fall asleep every night, you release control of your thoughts. You release your body, your awareness. You're not conscious anymore. You don't grip the day as you drift off. You open your hands and you just let it go. Another example is our breath. If you cannot let go, you can try holding on into your breath. And you might notice that doesn't last a long time, right? You need to let go. So letting go comes really naturally to us. And you might ask now, okay, Christina, but how is that related to our triggers? It relates because when we are getting triggered is because old unconscious wounds come up to the surface. And if we get consumed by them, we are gripping for control. We are not allowing our consciousness to let go of that. Maybe you have resentment for somebody and that shows up in being triggered. And you cannot let go of that resentment. So then your whole relationship falls apart. That happens because you cannot let go. And I'm not here to talk about whether that relationship was healthy for you or not. This is not what this video is about. So when you let go, at the same time, you are letting go of this trigger. You're not allowing your consciousness, yourself, to be consumed by it. You are seeing it as it is. You're not attaching your identity or your worth to it. And that helps you, again, to see it neutrally. That's why we activate the witness, right? To see it for what it is, to be present instead of being consumed by the past or the future, to take power over your life and not feeling like the witness of this circumstance. So when you can't let go, remind yourself that you are naturally letting go every single day by falling asleep and breathing out and exhaling. During a big life transition, you're being asked to let go of that old life, of that old partner, of anything that doesn't come with you to your next life, to your next identity. Number 2, imagine you are driving through a fog and you cannot see clearly what's in front of you. You slow down, you tense up, you make decisions based on what you think is in front of you, not what it is there actually. And that fog is denial, the opposite of acceptance. That fog is fear. That fog is clouded anxiety. That fog is overwhelm. Because when we are not accepting things, we are at the same time denying them. And we are not allowing them to be as they are. We cannot even see them as they are. That's the thing. So we are getting clouded by our own judgments. The whole situation, the new experience, the new career gets clouded by our own perception of it. And our perception of it gets reactive, right? Because we are getting activated by this trigger. And when it gets reactive, it is being led by fear, by anxiety, by old wounds. So that fog is the clouded mind being activated by those triggers. And when the clouded mind is activated, it cannot see things as they are. It activates denial, fear, self-judgment. It's actually our mind and body busy protecting us from what it doesn't want to be true, from what it perceives as threat too. So acceptance is clearing the windshield. Number 2 is acceptance. And I want to be really clear about what acceptance is not, because a lot of people think it's about not having goals, accepting your fate, when the only constant in life is change. Acceptance is not about resignation. Just like letting go is about allowing things as they are and moving from that space. Meaning when you accept things as they are, you clear space to take self-led action. Instead of being caught up in denial, in fear, in self-judgments. So it's not about satisfaction. You don't have to be satisfied when you accept things as they are. Acceptance is about being willing to cultivate the ability to see things as they are, not as the mind perceives it to be or not be. So again, in terms of triggers, that helps you to see things as they are and not moving from a place of activation, anger, doing things that you wouldn't do when you get activated. It helps you to pull back your energy back to yourself and free up space to make an aligned decision for yourself. There's this other aspect of denial and resistance. They drain you. Acceptance allows you again to have more energy, to deal with life with clarity, with a clear head. So acceptance doesn't drain your energy. It gives you energy. When you stop fighting what is, when you stop fighting the reality of your triggers, which our triggers are just mirrors, just reflection of what is inside of ourselves, right? That's why people say relationships are mirrors. You can work from that space because you have clarity, you see things neutrally, you don't resist reality. And when you stop fighting against reality, you free up space to work with what you have in front of you instead of denying it. And that energy becomes available to you to use it to your advantage, to use it to actually change things from a space of alignment, from a space of being a self-led human and not being led by your triggers, by your activations. You're deactivating your triggers and you are activating the witness. And last but not least is non-judgment. This might be tricky for a lot of people, and I know it is for me from time to time, because we all have our preconceived notions, we all have our values and ideas around life. So this element of a witness is not about not having your own opinion. It's about noticing instead. It's about noticing the automatic habit of labeling things as good or bad. You can see non-judgment as being a court reporter in a trial. He just sits there reporting what everybody has to say about this trial. He just records data. It's not his job to add his personal justifications or opinions on the matter. Again, that helps you to free up energy and see things as they are, being okay with what it is. Because when you have neutral information coming to you, you can make the best self-led decisions for yourself, and that's gonna lead you to level up your life, to not self-sabotage your new career, your new relationship, you moving to a new city and finding new friends. You're gonna allow yourself to sit in that uncomfortable space and move from that space, so being okay with that new situation. When you just witness, you are there to just record this data. You are making space for yourself to take the power of your life, not your life being driven by those old wounds, the old conditioning. You are actually creating a new future. You're not allowing those triggers from the past to determine your future, your new life, your new career. No. You're taking the driver's seat by being the witness, and those triggers are just sitting there beside you. Being this court reporter actually allows you to not have thoughts or feelings, but rather noticing those labelings and actually question them. Is it true? What information do I have about this? What's the proof? Is this true, or this is just reality showing me what I need to heal inside myself to get to the next level? Because a trigger is just neutral information, right? And when we are labeling it as something bad, we are not allowing ourselves to evolve through that trigger. We're getting attached to it. So that gets us back to the first point, grasping for control instead of letting go. Because the mind is like a judge who has an opinion on everything and has already made up their verdict before the trial even begins. So that happens automatically. We don't see it until we notice it. That person triggered me. This means they are nasty. They want the worst for me. They're jealous of me. Are they? or they are just triggering something inside yourself and they are reflecting back to you a wound, and that wound is neutral. Because when we get triggered, we tend to label things as a way to understand and categorize the situation into old experiences and old habits and old conditioning. Once that label is on, your reaction becomes automatic. So we want to break this automatic habit of seeing reality through the lens of old conditioning. Because this is how you allow yourself to create this new life and evolve through that, taking back your power. And when you're in a life transition, this matters more than ever because your nervous system is already on high alert. And the last thing you want is a mind and a nervous system that perceives everything as a threat and danger, because that doesn't give you a chance to see things as clearly as you would if you didn't attach any labels to that situation. So those are the 3 elements you need to cultivate in order to activate the witness and deactivate the triggers at the same time. This is letting go, acceptance, and non-judgment. Let me know in the comments, once you apply one of those elements of the witness, how did it go? What happened for you? What is the shift you noticed? I reply to all of the comments, so I would love to know how you are moving through this big life transition by activating this witness. And I want you to know that the witness is not something that is built overnight. It's like a muscle. The more you work out, the more you activate this muscle. It's a journey. So be gentle with yourself and know that the more you use that muscle, the stronger it will become. And then it will become easier and easier to activate it just like that. It becomes stronger every time you let go instead of gripping for control. Every time you respond instead of react. And every time you accept instead of deny. If this resonated, this is exactly the deep inner work we do inside Metamorphosis. I am providing you with all of the tools you need during a big life transition so you don't have to move through it with self-sabotage, self-doubt, fear, and instead with clarity, self-led decision-making, courage, and confidence. The link is in the description below if you want to explore that further. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!